You're watching Fox 9 Good Day.
Well, welcome back. It turns out there was at least one sweet benefit to our long winter this year. The conditions are perfect for maple syrup season. This morning, garden guide Dale Kay is giving us some tips on what to do once the sap starts a-flowing.
G'day everyone. If you're like me, at this time of year you're searching for spring, and it can be a little bit tricky, especially when there's no leaves on the trees, but that doesn't mean spring isn't stirring. This morning we are here at the Lowry Nature Center, part of the Three River Park District in Victoria, and it's really what's happening underneath the ground, particularly with maples, that is so refreshing that spring is on its way. This morning we're talking about maple syruping. Joining us this morning is Joe, who's a naturalist here at the Three Rivers Park District. Joe, tell me a little bit about what are the best maples and how do you tell a maple? Of course, we all know they're beautiful fall color, and we can recognize them in season. How do you tell them apart in the winter months or early spring?
Yeah, it's a great question. So here at Lowry Nature Center, we tap the sugar maple trees, and the sugar maple trees have a higher sugar content. So you can tap box elder, silver maple trees, but they have a lower sugar content. And so if you want a lot sweeter syrup, you use those sugar maple trees. And a great way to identify them, because right away with the kids, you say, okay, how do you find a maple tree? And they all look up at the leaves and you go,
where are they?
Yeah, right, exactly. And so what you tell them, I usually ask them like, oh, do you know the letter Y? And they all put up their arms right away. They go, oh yeah, here, I got a Y. And so what I'm teaching them is opposite branching. And so when you start looking, you look for Ys at the ends of the branches. And when you find those Ys, you might have yourself a maple tree. There's a couple other clues too. What you can look for on the older trees, you can look for bacon-like bark. So keeping it in the breakfast food group, right? So maple syrup, right? So a delicious side, bacon. So when you start getting those older trees, you start getting this bacony bark.
Yeah, actually I see it.
Right, yeah, there's like a little slab. And even the older ones, it just looks like giant piles, slabs of bacon on there. On the younger ones, you find little frosted flakes. And it's a white lichen. So if you look up higher on the older ones, you start seeing these little white spots. And the kids just, it's covered in sugar, obviously, right? So they love finding those frosted flakes.
You mentioned younger trees. Is there a good age to start tapping?
Yeah, so about 30 inches for the circumference. That's about what we need to be able to tap a tree. Usually what we tell is, hey kids, go hug a tree. If your fingers overlap, it's too tiny. If you get about here, kiddos, then you've got a tree that you can tap.
Joe, as far as timing goes, what's the window for tapping maple trees? Obviously we've still got snow on the ground. Is it still good? Are we getting towards the end?
Yep, so it's early springtime, so you need below freezing at night and above freezing during the day. This kind of freeze-thaw effect gets that sap flowing in the trees.
As far as the mechanics go, what do you need and how do you do it?
Yeah, so first off, you need to be able to get a hole in the tree, and so we've got a drill here.
How far do you drill in, Joe?
You just need to go about 2 inches or so.
That doesn't matter what age of the tree is?
Nope, you're just trying to get to that sapwood. And you'll take your spile. They used to have buckets, and you have to have the lids on there because, yes, the critters will find it and enjoy that sweet, sweet sap.
So what's the process, Joe?
Yep, okay, so we've tapped the tree, we've collected a whole bunch of sap, and now we're cooking it down.
Okay, so sap is mostly water?
So sap is mostly water, and we are cooking and cooking and cooking, and there's about a 40-to-1 ratio. So if this was sap, this is how much syrup you would get.
Oh my gosh, you need a lot of sap for a little bit of...
Right. Yeah, a ton. Yeah, and so so far we've collected almost 1,000 gallons of sap here at Lowry, and we're at almost 21 gallons of syrup produced.
Now, way back in the day, the Native Americans were after what?
Yeah, so before the Europeans came over, they didn't have access to glass or metal or anything, and so they couldn't really store syrup. And so they were actually removing all of the water, and they were cooking sugar. So you're getting all the way to that sugar. So inside that delicious syrup that we love, there's sugar.
I've never tried maple sugar before, so I got to get into that. This, of course, is the end product, maple syrup. And Joe, did you bring pancakes?
I didn't.
You did not.
I hope you did.
I didn't. Greg,
no?
Greg, did you bring No. Unbelievable. Nobody. Tom, did you bring? Nobody bought pancakes. With that, sadly, send it back to you. I got this though.
Oh, didn't he pull a pancake out of his pocket last year? So he just
sure
forgot.
did. He forgot.
Because I was impressed by that last year. I was like, smart man.
You know, you set the bar up here. After that, you've got to have more than just a pancake. And then to not remember, a waffle. Up your game. How did you forget, Dale? I mean, we wanted to see the eating of the, you know,
the celebration
pancake,
of all the work.
Celebration of the maple syrup.
Maybe next year, French toast or something. We'll see what happens.
There you go.